You are recording too frequently. Please try again in 30 seconds. What? There we are. Now we're live.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Well, are you ready? I will be looking for you in comments and notes. And where's it? Notes? Private chat. I'll be looking for you with any questions or comments there, Bago. Feel free to jump in with questions and shit as it goes.
Sounds good.
Hey,
catch you guys at the end.
Yeah. All right, man. See you on the backside.
Yep.
All right. One last. Oh, I know what I need to do. I got to pull up your notes, Brain, so I don't lose track of what's my name. Why am I here? To quote Admiral
Who
Stockdale.
am I? I have a right to know.
That's right. It was Stockdale, wasn't it? Said that. Who am I? Why am I here? There it is. There it is. And here, if I can find it, we're going to go. Media assets and.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond.
So there I was, 35,000 feet, somewhere north of Kandahar, and I get a call. Let's just change some call signs of some flights to protect the innocent. We'll call them Deadeye. The AWACS on station. And I guess maybe we were Ranger 11 and 12. Couple of Harriers in the dark, flying around on goggles, waiting for our next mission set assignment. By the way, if you haven't seen 12 Strong, the movie, I highly recommend it. It's exactly what was going on in 2001 in Afghanistan.
Oh, sounds like a terrifying night, and that is how all terrifying aviation tales begin. Greetings, everyone. Repeat here. You're listening to So There I Was. Thank you for joining us. Home in New Hampshire today. Where's my co-host?
I am lucky enough to be home finally after traveling all over the place in Kearney, Missouri, God's country, and it is a pleasure and an honor to welcome Brain, former Aviate B extraordinaire.
Aviate R.
and that story, I can't wait to hear how it ends, because 12 Strong was a great book. It was a pretty good movie. And if this is that time frame, is that what you're telling us? Is that time frame?
Yeah.
Oh,
2001.
shit. That's awesome.
A couple weeks after 9/11.
I can't wait to hear how that goes. Anyway, welcome, sir. Welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to get all your stories down.
Yeah. Long time no see. So and we go way back. I know Brain didn't start off in north of Kandahar. I saw him when he was a mere pollywog of a pilot, as was I in flight school. I guess Beeville's where we first met up. It would have been 1988, I guess, 88 in Beeville. So where'd you first look to the sky and go, I think I could do that?
You know, that's a funny story. I was 5. As the story goes from my parents, we took a flight on Northwest Airlines from Minneapolis to Chicago, and it was a 747. So if you're wondering why Northwest is out of business, maybe you don't fly a 747 from Minneapolis to Chicago. But
Right.
as the rumor mill has it, my parents say they took me up to the flight deck to meet the pilots, and I said to the captain that I wanted to be a pilot someday because I didn't want to work for a living. And so here we are.
That's perfect.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Well, that worked out good.
Indoor work, no heavy lifting is good. You're not the first person to look skyward at 4 or 5 and go, yeah, I'll do that.
That's kind of a reoccurring theme.
Right.
It is.
Absolutely. So, well, when did you lean into the Marine Corps?
I went off to college and was playing hockey coming out of high school. Played in the junior leagues for a bit because I wasn't good enough to be a Minnesota Gopher, but had an intent to become an architectural engineer. And after 6 months of that, I realized like this is not my calling. I switched my major to aerospace engineering. I ended up joining the Navy Marine Corps ROTC there halfway through my freshman year, and it became evident that flying was a possibility, and I got pretty stoked about it. Suffice to say, after 3.5 years as a Navy option, thinking I might fly F-14s off the carrier, I realized like this is not what I want to do because I'll be haze gray underway, and changed to the Marine Corps and took my commission as a Marine. Funny as it would be, I find myself haze gray underway flying airplanes off of a boat anyway. So
funny how that worked out, right?
Stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean with 5,000 other men.
Yeah, we had a couple of girls. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were off limits. Just ask Patty. So, all right. So, Marine Corps, did you do PLC?
No, ROTC, commissioned out of ROTC.
Okay, so you had to do the Bulldog thing one summer.
Went off to Bulldog. Actually had to do that after my senior year because I waited so long to switch.
Okay.
When was it?
Tell
Hey,
folks
when
what
was that,
Bulldog
Brady?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, so for the folks that go through officer candidate school, you can do like Pete just said, a PLC program where it can be broken up into a few sessions, or a 1 week 10 week kind of, I said 1 week 10 week one session, 90-day wonder we call it. The Bulldog program is really aimed to hit the highlights of the last half of that 90-day wonder program and put all the prospective midshipmen through the paces to make sure that they've got what they need to get greened up and become Marine Corps officers before they send you off to the basic school to learn that every man's a rifleman, right?
Yeah. Whether you need to be or not.
That's right. Whether you like it or not.
That's fun for 6 months.
Right. And you know what? I'll tell you what, that is, as much as it sucked thumping around in the woods of Quantico, it gave us an appreciation for what our brethren in the mud were doing and going through. And when they needed our help, it was a real need. And we knew how much fun they were having. So,
or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So happy to help. But okay. So down to flight school. Any fun stories? Well, let me back up. Any funny stories from
Bulldog? Before you go any further, when did you what year was that you graduated and went to Bulldog?
Let's see, 86. I'm a 86 commissionee, so summer 86 at OCS Bulldog, and then got commissioned right before the end of the year and started TBS in early 87.
I was there summer of 86 doing my 10-weeker.
Yeah.
Probably good times.
Probably ran past you in the Quigley or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, man. So any funny stories from Bulldog? Waking up going, oh, my God, what did I get myself into?
I the first night, right, you get there. It's so funny because, number one, when you're in the ROTC, all of your ROTC instructors on the Marine side, you have a captain or a major who's the senior Marine in your unit. And then you've got a gunner or a staff sergeant who's there as a senior enlisted guy who's, largely teaching both the Navy and the Marine guys how to drill and proper military etiquette and all that stuff. Those guys put on the OCS instructor hat for the Bulldog crowd. And so, a couple of them when you get there, and it's not the typical Marine Corps, like getting screamed in your face. You kind of chuckle inside a little bit because you spent 3 years with this person and you know what they're like for sure. But drill instructors, they put that hat on and they turn into something magic. The first night we show up, we get off the bus, dump all of our gear out of our sea bag. And I'm not sure, I guess to check for contraband and then pick it all up. They come in. And typically, someone has a stack of forms, and they sit down and they go, "Okay, fill out parts 1 through 4. Leave part 5 for us. We'll sign that." They just open the door, throw a pile of sheets in the room, and someone's supposed to figure out what the heck you're doing with it. They kept us up till about 1:30 in the morning with nefarious whatever it was. We finally went to bed, and at 3:30, he's in there banging the trash can after 2.5 hours of sleep. Time to get up. And
got your nap.
you're just wondering, what did I get myself into?
What just happened?
Right. No
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Good times.
Good times. Yep. Oh man. All right. So survive
you-
Bulldog. Go down to flight school. Then AI. Did we do AI together?
Hard to say. I think I was October of '87 doing AI. I had to sit for a little while.
Punky and Breeze and those guys were in that.
I mean, certainly, I don't think I did AI with Punky and Breeze, but as things wrapped up through flight school and out of the Harrier transition, we ended up on about the same timeline.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. We went through Beeville. I remember going through Beeville together. In fact, you lived right down the street from us.
Yeah.
And
I turned the place into a prison for a little while. My wife used to say it seemed like a prison when we were living in base housing.
Right. Oh man, well, we had some good times on Nimitz Drive, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I wouldn't trade any of it.
Right. I mean, looking back, some of it sucked at the time, and now you look back and you go, "Oh, those were some good times."
And can you believe they let us take a high performance jet to an aircraft carrier with like 112 hours of total flight time?
Yeah,
right.
That's insane. Who does that?
Who does that?
Well, they don't do that anymore.
Nobody
well,
anymore.
That's
right?
what's even more insane is now they don't do that. I can't figure out which is crazier.
Well,
they made us do it, or they don't let.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. So, all right. So, any fun stuff from primary for first time? Well, how much flight time did you have before you?
So I was not one of those guys who had a private pilot license or did any CFI work at all. My dad had gotten a private pilot's license. I had flown with him a couple of times, but I'll generally say I had no flight experience, when I got to Pensacola and started the game. So I was a fresh start from ground up. Okay. My wife, you're going to ask about primary. I ended up going to Corpus, VT-27 for primary. And my wife was ready to get out of Pensacola because she let me pick the apartment while she was having our second child up in Minnesota.
Oh boy.
And she was none too happy with my pick. So when they came in and asked for volunteers to go to Corpus, I went home and said, we have an opportunity to move. And I think she was in the car before midnight. So
there you go.
Funny
yeah, that was great. We enjoyed Corpus. It was a great place. Good friends, good times. Beeville was right up the street, and intermediates and advanced went pretty smoothly with a couple of rest periods in between there. But
always a pool. But yeah, so I don't know. I wonder if we met in Corpus because I was a boomer too, same time frame. Jimmy Sins was the CO. We had, in fact, we dedicated a show to him. He was he passed a few years ago now from cancer. And
I don't remember the CO's name. I started in, I want to say February of '88 and got out of there in like May or June of '88, went up to Beeville.
Yeah. I'd say right there, same time frame. But yeah, so anyway, but I remember Jimmy Sins just because I remember the story. He was the guy who got passed over for Lieutenant JG because he was a P3 driver who went out with his family, they went out to an outlying field and they all picked up their families. He was a brand new ensign in the squadron. And they flew around for a while, and his punishment was getting passed over. So he always said, JG. Yeah. And so for every rank after Lieutenant JG, he said was gratis, and he went out of his way to help sailors and Marines whenever and wherever he could based on his rank. And
that's
a
awesome.
real prince of a man. Yeah. So
I don't think I heard that story before.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good.
So yeah. So any fun
Brain,
stuff from primary?
Yeah.
though?
Anything memorable?
Because you got jets, man. How'd you get jets out of primary? You worked your ass off.
That, you know what? You study hard, right? Work hard, play hard. I went home on the night before selection, and I was the number one guy that week picking. We had 2 jet slots. I want to say 1 C-130 prop slot, and then
400 helo slots.
seven helo slots for 10 guys.
Yeah.
Back up, I was 5 years old and I wanted to be an airline pilot, right? And in my book and anything I'd heard, like, hey, if you go C-130s, it's good airline training. And
Yeah,
I
man.
told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to select props. And she says, are you going to be happy with that? And I stewed on that for so long and thought, if I don't go fly jets, I will wonder forever what that was like. And
right.
I would have kicked myself forever for not picking to.
There's your guy putting up a picture now of you and Senator McCain and your guiding light in the middle there, Patty. So
my beautiful wife, Patty, who's been with me halfway through college and through this entire road. Celebrated 40 years of marriage back in March. So
that's
Sierra
awesome.
Hotel,
congratulations.
man.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I
Give
owe
her
her
my love
everything,
and my best.
even though I never tell her.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll watch this podcast someday.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you definitely married above your pay grade, sir. As we all
know
did.
about that, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful woman.
So any oh shit things you can think of, funny, scary from flight school, T2s, A4s, other than the going to the boat for the first time, which is always
I think we all hate bad news and bad grades when we're learning, right? It's like the kiss of death. We feel like we failed. I got a down in T2s, and I was at the bottom of my game after that night, after that day. And it was a couple of 3 or 4 flights into the formation flying stage, and major name not to be revealed gave me a down, and boy, I was devastated. But I will tell you what, it was the right move at the right time. I was doing the typical squeeze the black out of the stick, formation flying.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you guys know it's just a light touch and let the little motion go between the airplanes. No big
Wasn't
deal.
the Venezuelan exchange major, was it?
No, it was a Marine.
He almost gave me a down.
It was a Marine, and it broke my heart. But that guy did the right thing and made me a better pilot.
got you what you needed, got you up to speed.
Yep.
Hey,
and, did well through the syllabus after that. In fact, you're going to ask me about advanced. I did too well. It came to selection day, winging day, right? And
was there an EA-6B hanging out there?
There was one prowler hanging out. But dude, all I wanted was Hornets Hawaii. I wasn't asking for much, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so I get Harrier's Yuma, and I went to
that's a jet, and it's halfway to Hawaii from Cherry.
Yeah, halfway. I go into the Scene Marina and I go, what the F? I had number one, very, very good grades. And,
how's this possible? How is this possible?
He says, well, there's a grade cutoff, and we got to get guys above a certain threshold with the grade cutoff, send them to Harriers because the plane's hard to fly and blah, blah, blah.
So you were too good.
He says, unfortunately for you, no one else was above the grade cutoff, and you were. And
so some other schmuck got F-18 Hawaii.
So the next guy below me gets F-18s Hawaii. And the number 3 guy gets F-18s Hawaii.
Oh, come on.
Number 4 and number 5 get F-18s Hawaii.
Oh, come on.
We sent 4 guys out to Hawaii behind me, flying Hornets. And the last guy ended up in the prowler slot.
Wow.
But I gotta tell you, we'll get there on this discussion where we talk about Navy test pilot school and what it's like to do test work. I got my day. I've been able to fly the Hornet. I've got a few hours in it, both the B and the D. It's a fun airplane. Your grandmother could fly it. You're not missing anything if you never flew a Hornet.
Awesome. So I was going to go there with, and I asked Punky this question. We need to get him on the show. You haven't had him on yet. Because you went to test pilot school, you got to fly one or two other airplanes besides the Harrier. All the airplanes you've gotten to put your hands on over the years, what's your favorite?
Barn on the F-15 was the most fun to fly.
All right. Nice.
You guys have all done loops. A lot of guys listening to this podcast are, fighter dudes flying. I'm in the front seat of an F-15B out of Edwards. And the way it works when you're a test pilot, there's no simulator, no demo first takeoff or landing. You jump in the front seat. You got to memorize all the boldface. You start it up, taxi it out, take it off. If it's a 2-seat airplane, and some of them aren't, like the A-10 or whatever. But if it's a 2-seat airplane, they'll put a safety guy in the back seat just so you don't destroy his airplane.
Poor bastard.
But they're a great resource because they're talking in your ear on the ICS the whole time. This guy tells me, okay, I want you to do a loop. 10,000 feet, pull it to idle, 4 Gs. And if
An idle loop?
10,000 feet, 400 knots, pull it to idle, pull to 4 Gs and do a loop. All right, right now in your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to get to about 60 degrees nose up, be at about 180 knots and come falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
That thing just went over the top. I think we maybe touched 180 as we were completely inverted on the backside, coming back down. An idle loop. That's how clean that airframe is.
Wow.
And amazing to fly.
Shit.
Just
wow.
That's impressive. That is real impressive. All right.
Hey, hold on. Before we get too far downrange, before we get too far away, we got to backtrack.
Yeah, we got to go back to Harriers and the rag.
No.
Too far back? Sorry.
Flight school.
Yeah.
T2s. You got it down. Explain what a down is for the non-aviation.
Yeah. So,
how every flight is graded.
Yep. So you're a student, you're getting flight grades, and there's most of the time you'll come back and it'll be maybe 10 or 15 items that are on that graded form for that particular event. Mostly averages. Maybe you get an above average on something you do a little bit better than the average guy, or maybe you get a below average on something you need to work a little harder on. I think probably for the most part, we all felt pretty good if we got 1 to 2 above averages on a sortie.
Yeah, try to get a 1 above, 2 above.
A down is 1 below a below average. It's an unsat, so it's a failure of the flight, failure to progress, and you are basically stopped from training at that point. Usually a plan is put together to give you a couple of extra flights with some instructors and continue to refine that skill to determine can you fix it and can you move on. And for 95% of everybody, that's exactly what happens. You get a couple extra sorties, maybe a simulator, depending on phase of flight, what's going on, get you back on the step and get you back in the program.
Can you tell our listeners which flights are graded in flight school?
Every single one. Come on, that's a trick question.
Every one of
them. Oh, and does that suck?
Every brief's like a final exam.
Yeah, every one of them. Right? It's like a check ride in the airline world, right? Like you get graded on that one
every day.
97% of the other stuff you do isn't. Yeah, every flight, every day.
Get up in the morning, go to the ready room, get kicked in the junk, go flying. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Right? All right, thank you. Sorry to go backtrack.
No,
that was
quite all right.
I just want to make sure we didn't leave something hanging.
It's definitely a shot to your manhood when they.
All right, so you wanted F-18s Hawaii. How'd you reconcile this? Were you okay when you showed up at Cherry Point for the rag, or were you like, son of a bitch?
Yeah, I kind of wasn't okay.
Yeah.
It was a long drive from Beeville, Texas to Cherry Point, North Carolina. And, my wife's tired of listening to me bitch about it. Right. But, it was hard. I was grateful that the Marine Corps thought enough of me to say, hey, you're a great pilot. We need you to go to the Harrier community. It's not what I wanted to do. It was a little bit bittersweet. But I'll tell you, we're going to get to a whole career of 27 years of flying airplanes in the Marine Corps. I, again, wouldn't change a thing. Had I not gone to the Harrier community, I wouldn't have learned half of what I did. I'm pretty certain I wouldn't have become a test pilot, and I have no idea where I'd be today. It is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
Awesome. Well,
That's fantastic.
was it how many flights into it before you were like, okay, I'm kind of glad I'm here?
I don't think I had that aha moment till I went to my first gun squadron and started flying on the goggles. It's one of our things to maybe talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was that really made me say, I am in the right place. This is
You went to the Black Sheep, right? 214?
Black Sheep 214.
Yeah.
Hey, did you Westpac in 92 with them?
Yeah.
So I
seen you in
went
Japan.
to UDP Iwakuni,
Yeah.
and I think you were in 223 at the time, Fig.
Yeah.
Yeah, we relieved you guys.
Yeah.
Pete, you were in 223 as well?
Yeah, we were
Same time?
together.
Yeah, so you guys were the UDP relief
Yes.
for us.
Okay.
Which is, I remember
Well,
the story of Fig telling people that he'd run 1 mile for every beer he drank the night before, and I said to Fig, like, I can't run that far.
Show title: I can't run that far.
3 miles, right? Like I trained for
holy
good.
shit! Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Wait, you got to do a freaking marathon every day?
Yeah. Well, JJ Smith, I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. We were pretty tight, and he bequeathed me his Benjo bomber when you guys left, and I rode that and I bequeathed it to somebody in 231 when they relieved us.
the Benjo bomber comes into this topic of discussion at some point, maybe too.
Well, let's go in.
Man.
Let's get in there.
Get in there. Yeah, let's get in there.
You got
your
you
first
got
gun
down to
squadron.
yeah.
I was going to kind of open with what it's been to be a Harrier guy, right? And I guess we got there. Didn't want to be here when it started, and can't believe how fortunate I was for the gods to send me where I ended up. You guys know we got Harrier Sundown coming June 3rd, final flight, and
we're going to be there.
We're going.
We're going to be in the
Anybody?
booth with Derek Combs at DC Artworks. Our sponsor for this show is giving us booth space, and we're going to be getting stories.
Anybody and everybody who's a Harrier guy that I've run into and talked to on 5 different text streams or in person, is put that on the map, and it is going to be crazy to see everybody there.
Yeah. Outstanding. Well, good. I look forward to hoisting a beer with you then.
Yeah, I'm trying to work a deal to get Topless to fly to Norfolk and jump in the car and ride down with my wife and I. And
good.
We're hoping to pull that off. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Be good to see you guys in person again and have a couple of beers together.
And I'm trying to think, just real quickly, you were the XO at 223, right?
223, correct.
Yeah, okay. That's the last time I saw you. So that would have been the 98, 99 time frame. But.
Yeah, summer 99.
Okay. Yeah.
Now retired Lieutenant General John Davis at the time had the squadron, and he pulled me in to be his XO. Was good. Great place to be. I think maybe doing some stuff that you guys wished you'd have been doing a couple decades earlier there.
Amen. Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
Ain't that the truth? All right.
So it's been an amazing career. I'm gonna put it to bed on June 4th when I leave the greater New Bern Cherry Point area and drive away from there again, like I have a million times, and back up to Norfolk. But realize that I think I had an opportunity to make a statement in the community. I know you guys did. Couldn't be more proud to be part of that legacy, all the way back to flying brand new airplanes coming off the flight line when the program was in full rate production. So,
I mean, that was awesome. We got in
new car
airplanes,
smell.
Had the new car smell. It was something, wasn't it?
We fixed that. So shit hot. So you're in 214, which was one of the first night attack squadrons. Doing all that, what was that like? Because I'll tell you what, I was kind of against that, and I never did fly the Nogs as a single seat attack pilot. I heard guys say, "Oh, I love it." It's being able to see at night was the way to go. But I always thought, man, flying a single seat airplane on night vision goggles, you ever had to pull a handle? Like things were just it was a setup for failure. but you guys proved that as a concept. It works.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much proved exactly the opposite of what you're thinking. There was a lot of that out there. You know, what's going to happen if you pull the ejection handle with a pair of goggles hanging off the front of your helmet? That, for those that aren't quite thinking about it, you know, a 20-ish G stroke up the seat when you pull the ejection handle, and a cantilevered weight hanging off the front of your helmet is going to rotate your neck forward and put your neck out of alignment, and, you know, cause some serious, if not deadly, cervical issues, you know, in the spine, the neck there. Data point on that, we had 2 guys go out of the airplane in a mishap, and one of them, his helmet rolled off his head completely. So the neck survived, and the other guy, the frame for the goggles snapped, and it dropped straight down and probably hit him right where he didn't want it
Right
to.
in the jibbies.
But so the only 2 guys, to my knowledge, the only 2 guys to ever pull a handle with goggles on their head both walked away from it just fine. But
Oh, shit hot.
the program was so new, we did it right. And I think about, you know, my job today and the way we rest for flying and all night and things like that. Everything we try to do to be ready to go for what we do. You know, back then the plan was every day for 2 hours a day, you'd shift your circadian rhythm by coming into work 2 hours later, and you do that for the week leading up to the bright moon cycle, so that when it was night, you were coming to work at 1600. And this is where I'm going to really get in trouble when my wife decides to watch this podcast at some point. But
she won't watch. Don't worry.
You come to work at 1600. You might fly one day sortie right before sunset. Maybe you don't, and you do a little squadron work, whatever it might be. But give it a good hour after sunset and the moon's up, and what we called highlight, 0.0022 lux for the geek nerds who want to know how much illum I'm talking about. Is what we needed to go fly night low altitude training. And we would go out and do 500 knots at 200 feet in the mountains, looking at a forward looking infrared and a night vision goggle picture. And man, what a kick in the pants. You do that once or twice a night for an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, and you're done at midnight or 2 a.m. and you are so amped up, there is nothing going to slow you down. So
Right.
got to drink a few beers, got to stay up till about 6 a.m. so that, you know, you can go to bed, shut the dark out the bedroom and
get that adrenaline pump down, and
2 in the afternoon, and your kids are screaming and the baby needs changing and the wife's out there, you know, doing that hard work while you're, you know, sleeping the day away so you can go do it again the next night. So
man,
it's a blast. And proof of concept, you know, like I said, we set the program up right. VMA 214 was the first squadron to fly goggles in a fast-moving airplane. Of course, our helicopter brethren had been doing it for years. We learned a lot from them.
Slightly slower than 500 knots, but
with 2 guys too, right?
Yeah. Still, you know, we land every plane every week, and we always say thank you to the veterans and the active duty and their families. And you know, that's something we never mentioned, but that's the kind of shit that they're dealing with. You're trying to sleep. They're trying to keep the kids quiet. They're changing diapers. They're dealing with, you know, dog bites and bee stings. And, you know, she hit me. He looked at me funny and all that bullshit. And so the families that make it happen for us, man, they're special people. They really are.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, man. Not everybody can do that, you know, and a lot don't. I mean, you know, some go, hey, I ain't doing this shit, and they pull their handle, so to speak, and get out. But
for her to be with me 40 years later is amazing, and I can't thank her enough.
God bless you, Patty, and all the Patties out there who endured all of that. That's special.
That's spot on.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So, wow. I'm shaking, man.
Hey, just
500 knots, 200 feet on the gogs.
Hey, I want to connect a dot for you because I know you're going to know this guy. My dermatologist here in Kansas City, where I live, I see him every 6 months professionally, and we do things socially as well. Was your flight surgeon?
Was who?
Was your
The
flight,
flight
surgeon?
surgeon. Oh, yeah, John?
Yeah, John Rupp.
Yeah. Great.
Doc.
Great American.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's his
Um,
one of his paintings right behind me.
No kidding.
As is this one that I'm
and
holding
that's
up now.
did not
If
know that
can
he
you make me
got-
big there, Bego or Sticks?
I did not know that he got into painting, but
He is an
here it
amazing
is. Oops,
artist.
here.
He's an amazing artist.
Well, he's inverted.
keeping up foreign relations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he is inverted.
Yeah, we loved him as a flight surgeon. He was great.
Yeah, so he did this. This is about to get framed and go in my fighter bar when I finish it. So
Oh, it's gonna be cool.
yeah, and we need to find a way to get those sold because Doc is quite the
Well,
artist.
he's sending me with a QR code for that one right there, the Aviate-B.
Oh shit, hot. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh man.
It's got all the squadrons on it. It's pretty badass.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So, Brain, you talked about you wrote it actually in your notes, and I think this is perhaps the best description I've ever heard or ever seen it. And I'm looking for exactly that line. There it is. We wanted to talk about how the Harrier community, went from near irrelevance on the modern battlefield, and we were on the edge of being like, what are those guys doing here? To a precision strike weapon that set the standard for today's precision guided weapons, and onto the 5th generation fighters. And we got to credit to some degree Bart, who helped get that whole targeting.
Oh, the lightning pod.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so I'm not going to try to take much, if any, of the credit. I happened to be doing my test pilot tour at the time that Art was up at Nav Air, and we had come out of the first Gulf War. The Harrier played. We had, I think, 3 squadrons over there, if I remember correctly.
More than that.
4.
Right.
We had
Hold on.
331,
231.
231, 331 before it shut down, right?
Yep. 331,
311,
542, 231. So three East Coast squadrons and at least 2 West Coast squadrons.
Yeah, and everybody was day attack, meaning not night vision goggle capable, certainly night capable,
No radar.
but no radar, an angle rate bombing system, which really only works in the daylight, and some laser tracking capability. We had GBUs, we had laser guided bombs at the time, but a lot of cluster missions, a lot of dumb Mark 82s, Mark 83s, Mark 81s. That whole suite of, I'll call it, Vietnam era weapons that were on the airplane in the early 90s that we all trained to, right?
Yeah.
And we tried a couple of times in the early 90s to get into some sort of targeting pod program because we saw all the other fighters doing it, and it looked cool. And
Yeah,
by the way, it became a requirement for the AO. Like, you weren't going to get invited to the dance if you didn't have some sort of targeting pod.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Otis at the end here. But when I showed up at 223 to be the XO, I'm going to use a little bit of crusty language, and I'm going to.
You can. This is explicit podcast, Brain. Let her go.
I mean nothing ill to any female aviator in the Marine Corps, because they are outstanding. We had, I think, the first female fast mover aviator check into our squadron at 223 when I was the XO, and she was one of the best pilots there. She made a personal decision to move on after we had a mishap out in the Chocolates, where one of our smaller men aviators went out on the ejection seat, and his body was really too light for the seat, and it hurt him. And she made the decision, a very difficult decision, to leave the community and go fly something else out of her own safety. So what I'm about to say is in no way intended to offend anyone, and I'm sure I will.
Understand.
Otis walks in the ready room one day, pissed off at the world like Otis always was, and what a great American. And he's just mad. It's 1999 or 2000, and the Harrier has not been to Bosnia or anywhere over in what has transpired for the decade, Southern Watch, and into Eastern Europe, all the way up to what would become, the first Gulf War, right? I'm sorry, not the first Gulf War, but 9/11.
Yeah.
9/11 time period in 2001. And he throws something across the ready room and says he's just damn tired of Sally Jane Rottencrotch flying F-18s over in Bosnia and getting in the action. And here he is stuck in a Harrier and he's never going to get to do anything. And
Yeah.
you know, that resonates with me to this day. Well, back up 2 years, maybe 3 at the best, we had started putting some PGMs, precision guided munitions, into the Harrier program. JDAM, AMRAAM was coming online. That was being largely done to support air defense from some of our partner nations, but the Marine Corps rolled in on the skirt tails of that and put AMRAAM on the airplane. And the Lightning Pod. We were approached by the Israelis to put the pod on. Everything in flight test is incredibly expensive, and it's very difficult to find money to do weapons integration. But they came up with a way for us to take that Lightning Pod and use the Maverick video line. The Maverick missile, which was already cleared on the airplane, has a video line on it, which connects up to the pylon and then can display the video from the missile on your multi-purpose display there. The Israelis were able to work with NavAir and write code to put in the video stream targeting coordinates and everything that you would need for precision guidance. And without us make an operational flight program change to the airplane, we were able to put that pod on and demonstrate the ability to track IR, daytime, lays, self-lays, buddy lays, drop GBUs, and ultimately, you know, what becomes laser JDAM in several years to follow. It was that turning point that turned our airplane into a precision strike weapon. I find myself in Iraq in 2005, and about a year prior, you know, there was some strikes going on in Fallujah. Guys might have heard of that place. A lot of what we call MOUT, military ops and urban terrain, or just urban fighting. And there is a story about a Harrier guy talking to a JTAC, or what we would have called a FAC way back in the day before we got jointed on this stuff. And the FAC is talking him onto a target building where there's some enemy insurgents, Al-Qaeda guys. And he puts his pod down. We had at this point integrated the ability to stream off of the airplane the video from the pod back down to the ground to the forward air controller or the JTAC, with a rover being able to see the exact same video that the pilots sent in the cockpit. And he designates a building, and the FAC says, no, not that one. Come, you know, I'm just going to make it up here, but this is close enough to exact what happened. Come north 1 building, east 2 buildings. Yep, right there. That's your target. And he puts a couple of PGMs into the target, and that video makes it back to the KAOC. And for the unjointed world, you know, basically that's the central nervous system for all aviation missions going on in an AO, largely usually run by the Air Force. And someone, and probably the 2 or 3 star who was running the KAOC, said, a Harrier did that?
Right.
And that is the point at which, you know, we knew we made the game. And certainly Otis was a happy person at that point.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of our listeners is asking, that pod, could you put it on any station? You know, not the outboard station. Could you put it on any station?
Well, so the station had to have a video line, and you're scratching some brain cells from a long time ago.
All right. So I know we carry the
I want to
Maverick.
say you could put it
inboard.
on the inboards or the intermediates.
Yeah.
Always, to my knowledge, was always on the inboard from what I remember. But
Sweet.
what was in the picture you showed?
I think that was the targeting pod that.
Oh yeah, but did you see what station that was on?
Oh, I did not.
No, I didn't either.
I would have guessed.
It looked like it was inboard.
It looked like a pretty long station. So inboard. Yeah,
and there's some operational issues.
That actually appears to be on a Hornet.
That's not even
or
on a
something.
Harrier.
That's not a Harrier. Yeah.
There's some operational issues you worry about, like masking the mask, where if you slew it in a certain direction, you're going to be getting blanked by other pylons or the belly of the aircraft or whatever. So, that all came into play. But doing that flight test, certifying that thing for use was a huge step forward. JDAM making it into the program. It went miles to
Brain. I may be asking a question that you are not allowed to answer. How many targets could that thing pop at once? And that may be classified.
So, I mean, you're tracking a bunch of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, you want to designate the target you're going after, and so you're looking at one target.
But you could designate for your buddies, right? For your wingman and.
Yep. So you could target. So back to what you guys flew with a basic GBU, a laser guided bomb. You could self lays or buddy lays. Buddy lays obviously makes things a little bit easier. Everybody watch Top Gun. If someone else can be working the laser and putting it on the target while you're worrying about putting the weapon in the basket, we'll say, for release, makes things a lot easier. And it gets busy in a single seat airplane doing your weaponeering when you got a lot of stuff going on. So
so a Styx or Bago put one up there of a Harrier with it, but it appeared to be on the center line, but therefore the gun was not there.
It was a
Lightning Pod got so cool we just put it on everything like P3s and C-130s.
Right? Yeah, no shit. That thing
it's just a great tool, and it brought us into I don't think it's right to call a Harrier a 4th gen fighter, but at least 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think we're going to talk about Otis a little bit more and a few other really cool things here with Brain. Man, it is great catching up with you, my friend. But I want to take just a moment to tell you about some of the stuff. It's coming up at Cherry Point here at June 1 through 3 in North Carolina. But for those who are listening to this well past that date, I still want to put some ideas in your head. If you need, be it Father's Day, birthday, Christmas, all those other gifts, here's something that our sponsor may be able to help you out with. So there I was trying to finish my basement in a ready room theme, and I hit that point where the normal hardware stuff just wasn't going to cut it anymore. You know the feeling. You've got this vision in your head, but you can't find it anywhere because nobody actually makes exactly what you want. That's where DC Artworks comes in. Our sponsor is Derek. He owns DCArtworks.net. He's a veteran, he's an American, and he makes amazing art. He basically takes your half-baked aviation idea and turns it into something that looks like it belongs in the ready room. Everything starts with CNC cut hardened steel, precision cut by computer for clean lines and serious durability. Then every piece is hand finished by Derek or his team. No flimsy metal, no mass-produced junk. No two pieces are identical. And here's the important part. 95% of what DC Artworks produces is custom. Case in point, I told Derek I'm building my ready room style basement bar and commissioned him to make some custom Harrier-shaped cabinet door and drawer pulls for me. That stuff's not on a shelf anywhere. It's my idea, and it's his execution. That's the magic here. Go to dcartworks.net, browse the design library, which updates constantly, and then stop thinking like a customer and start thinking like a creator. Squadron logos, call signs, aviation art, business signs, personal gifts, bar setups, ready room decor, whatever weird thing your brain can come up with. Derek can probably build it. And yes, he also does beer glasses, whiskey glasses, all engraved with, your squadron patch, your call sign, which honestly may be the most dangerous thing to show a group of pilots after 2 bourbons, because they're going to want them. So the other thing he's got is those airplane-shaped bottle openers, Harriers, C-130s, you name it. They're phenomenal. They're heavy duty, ridiculously cool, and the exact kind of thing your buddies will immediately ask you where you got. DC Artworks specializes in metal art and fabrication, powder coating, and multi-material engraving. Derek is also a military GPC vendor and offers bulk and repeat discounts and is one of the lowest priced vendors in the business for this level of custom work. And if you're heading to the Harrier Sundown ceremony at Cherry Point, June 1st through 3rd, 2026, Derek will be there with us. In fact, he's offered us his booth as a space at the picnic in Havelock. So we'll be there. Come by and say hello and see the cool stuff he is bringing to the show. Get yourself some cool merch, right? Yeah. So here's your mission now, though. Go to dcartworks.net, use the code STIW, and get 20% off every order, every time, forever, even if another sale is already running, right? Then contact Derek and say, so there I was, and I've got this idea. Thanks to dcartworks.net for sponsoring this episode. Indeed. Thank you, Derek. Looking forward to meeting you in person soon. So, yeah. So, there was more on Otis. I'm sorry. I have to admit ignorance that I do not know, what became of him.
Yeah. So, I want to end with something really neat on him. I'll talk a little bit more about our relationship. I went to 223 as the XO, like I said, in the summer of '99, and we had like all Harrier problems, a bunch of engine issues along the way. We were supposed to float on the 22nd MEU. That didn't happen. We gapped for a year putting Harriers on the MEU, which is a huge deal for the Marine Corps. And for
talk about not getting forgotten, huh? I mean,
it was bad, but for the community and the better of the community, it had to be done. So we repicked up as the boat debt ready and cocked and ready to go in really the spring of 2001, and we tied in with the 26th MEU. At the time, I had been designated as the Harrier debt commander for the 22nd MEU plan a year prior. I carried that forward a year later and still went and took a debt.
All right. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt for just a second for people. A MEU is a Marine Expeditionary Unit. It's a combined air-ground task force of a certain size. So that's what a MEU is. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and the Harrier is and now F-35B part and parcel for that is really the only fast mover fixed wing aviation support organic to that combat element, which is comprised of a very large component of ground forces, call it 700 or so guys, a logistics component that is there to support what really is 30 days of combat operations coming from the sea to the shore, and then an aviation unit, which is made up of those helicopter squadrons, attack helicopters, utility helicopters, transport. Now, CH-46s turned into V-22s here a decade and a half ago. And then your fast movers, which were Harriers, now F-35Bs. So to not carry what we called the MEU commanders hip pocket artillery, heavy artillery with attack airplanes was a big deal.
Yeah.
And left you completely reliant on Harrier Air Wing for any type of close air support, fixed wing close air support. I don't want to take away from our rotary wing cast brethren, but fixed wing close air support. So pretty huge deal, but we had to do it. We stood back up, and I had a bunch of young guys that went with me on that debt. But we worked up through the summer. I found myself on leave in pre-deployment leave, and I had a jet ski that had been just acting up all summer long. I had hauled it off to Kinston, North Carolina, to have the dealer work on it, and there was a carburetor issue. They told me it's all good to go, so we drove up there, picked it up, and on the drive home was when 9/11 was happening, and the airplanes were flying into the World Trade Center.
Wow.
I kind of put my head in the sand for about 38 minutes and went, wow, this is not good. And
this won't affect us.
I really wanted to know if my jet ski worked. So I, driving home to get prepared for whatever was coming down the pike in the next 45 minutes, I stopped at the boat ramp, dropped it off the trailer really quick, fired it up, said, okay, good. Put it back on and looked at my wife and said, well, I guess I better call the base now. And so the rest is sort of history with how 9/11 occurred. But we found ourselves deployed 1 week after 9/11, heading over to Afghanistan, the North Arabian Sea. And Otis was one of my very young guys in the squadron. And for those squadron guys, you know, you're a senior leader, hold a bunch of instructor quals. People look up to you, and hopefully you're a good leader. And you'll never know until you go full circle with these guys, you know, 10 years later. But spent many a long nights in my stateroom on the ship talking about airplane performance capabilities, doing math together. You know, some people like to tease me about sitting around doing math for the fun of it, but you got to keep the brain sharp.
Hence the call sign, brain.
And you know, there's a picture I don't think I sent you this one, but in my stateroom was a whiteboard, and at one point Otis wrote up on there, Uncle B. You know, the boys referred to me as their uncle, I guess, and that's a good thing. But
right on.
He ended up becoming a great Harrier pilot, went off to weapons tactics instructor course, became a MOTS instructor, and found his way up the chain. And we run into one another, I guess, 2011, when he's working F-35 for headquarters Marine Corps, and I went to the program office to be the director of requirements. So we'll circle back around on Otis here at the end, and I'll tell you how things end up. But my life is sort of a tribute to that man. You know, he's a great American. He's the best we've had in the Harrier community and as Marine leaders. So that's Otis. That's a little intro to Otis right there.
Fantastic.
And from grumpy Otis to a great Harrier pilot.
But not Otis the town drunk? Different Otis?
Well, that is 100% where he got his call sign.
I was wondering about that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So,
Wow.
Oh,
So 1 week after 9/11, you guys were underway. That's
Yeah, in
impressive.
fact, it was the 11th of September, right? So at 6 a.m. on the 12th of September, you know, less than one full day after the World Trade Center event, we were all in the ready room, ready to fly out. You know, it was complete. You know, cancel all port and starboard leave. It's time to get everybody back. We need to go. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was pretty easy to kind of look at it and say, well, the Navy has got to come out of Norfolk with the amphibious ships to load this Marine Expeditionary Unit up out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and Cherry Point, North Carolina. And, you know, you knew there was going to be a few sailing days for them to get down and do what we call the onload. But we were prepared. We did end up leaving exactly 1 week after.
so 223 Bulldogs were in the breach.
223 had the debt
Okay.
going out with HMM at the time, 365, the Blue Knights. Now they're a V-22 squadron, redesignated as a VMM.
Nice.
Hey, can I ask about a call sign that was probably in the squadron with you at that time?
At 223?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
BTO. Does that sound familiar?
No.
Okay. We'll talk offline.
Okay.
All right. So now you're heading downrange, and you said had to take better part of a month to get there, even at top speed.
Yeah, so the Navy never goes anywhere at flank speed because it, well, maybe
Waste gas.
Maybe unless it's a nuke-powered carrier and nobody can keep up with them, so they don't do it. I mean, I bought a nice boat and it'll go 24 knots top end, and it's shameful that the carrier can do 1.5 times that. I could not even keep up with a 1,000-foot-long aircraft carrier. But an LHD, you know, of the WASP class variant can hit about 20 to 22 knots full stroke, and I think we were doing most of that, you know, the whole way.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Were you on the Kearsarge of the WASP, or do you remember?
I was on Baton. And I'll tell you, this is a bit of an aside, but I live in Norfolk now, and it is so fun to go boating down the Elizabeth River. And look at the baton sitting when it's in dry dock or when it's over at pier side at the naval station and think about my days living on that ship and launching off the front of it at night with a full load of bombs on night vision goggles and going downtown in Afghanistan in the early days.
Yeah,
it was scary. It was, nobody knew what was going on. But we went out and we did what we do, and it was very successful. For our, it was our
chubby.
Yeah, I
That's
know, right?
awesome.
So it was our MEU, the 26th MEU, which linked up with the 15th MEU. For the Marine Corps, we have 3 on the East Coast and 3 on the West Coast, and another one over in the Western Pacific. And you've always got one deployed, one working up for deployment, and one that just came back standing down after deployment. So it fell on 24th MEU initially, and we in-chopped, and they came out right after 9/11 happened. But 15th MEU and 26th MEU end up in the North Arabian Sea under then Brigadier General Mattis. Most people know him as a retired 4-star, SecDef.
Yep.
But Brigadier General Mattis brought the 2 MEUs together, and for what became the insert into Camp Rhino, a southern Afghanistan dirt strip. Spent several weeks in there, bringing almost all of our helicopters ashore, flying our fixed wing off the boats, and preparing for the assault on Kandahar. I'm not prepared for this, but I'm going to go off the cuff. I want to say it was December 13th of 2001 that the MEB, the Marine Expeditionary Brigade, which is comprised of those 2 Marine Expeditionary units and some more plus up from stateside support, took Kandahar, and we had a ground foothold to allow bringing in the Army and the Air Force into Afghanistan.
Shit,
Outstanding.
Oh, that's yeah. Boom.
I don't know
Send
how
in the
many
Marines.
times I was in Kandahar, but the very first time I was there, I got a little tour of kind of like the base of the tower, where all the pock marks and bullet holes and everything was still there. And it was a Marine colonel that gave me a quick tour and said, "Yeah, this was basically the Alamo for the Taliban."
It was
right there.
it is the Kandahar was, probably still is. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the Taliban, but Kandahar was their last stand, religious center, if you will, for them. And so for the Marine Corps to go in there and take that, and in my book, pretty impressive.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
That's
There
a
you
good
go.
picture.
And someone put up a picture of Mattis with it. Yeah, with a grenade,
Saint
looking
Mattis
much
of
like
Quantico.
looking much like the Lord Almighty. But Fig and I just got to hear Mad Dog give a speech at the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation a couple weeks ago, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
He was a barn burner.
It was good talk.
But, it was good talk, but your roommate, I mean your classmate from TVS, who now runs the Marine Corps, gave a fine speech as well. So
Yeah, he did.
So
Fig, what TBS class were you in?
We were Echo of 87.
Okay, yeah, I was Charlie 87, so right in front of you.
Yeah, Echo 87, JJ, well, all the guys. Well, Billy Betts and Dave Alio and of course the Commandant.
Rip Van Sickle, yeah, and then the Commandant, yeah.
Yeah, and just do you remember, guys, when we went through TBS and they said, you had like a 0.5% chance of making general someday?
Yeah,
And
weird.
And a lower chance of being the commandant.
What's really weird is I got out of the Marine Corps as a colonel, and they promoted all the other guys to general, and they're in charge of a lot of stuff, and they're doing great.
Good.
So
Good.
That's fantastic.
Well, and that's no small feat. 27 years, dude. That's awesome. So I don't want to step too far away from this, because that's pretty epic. I mean, that's historical that you were there for that. For the rate, for the assault on Kandahar and retaking Kandahar. Were you flying? Were you flying out of Camp Rhino, or are you coming off the ship?
we were coming off the ship. So the scheme and maneuver initially, I forget the number. I'm going to call it 450 miles from ship to objective. into Kandahar. Rhino was a little bit south of Kandahar, maybe 50-ish miles, maybe 70. I'd have to look at a map again. To make that insert into Rhino, we picked up 4 additional CH-53 Echo helicopters that were broken down, shoved into C5s, and flown to Oman, where we drove baton over there while they put the rotor heads back on the helicopters and then flew them onto the ship. We used the 53 Echoes doing a low-level insert, aero refueling behind Marine KC-130s, while we had Harriers off of Peleliu and Bataan. And I want to say it was the Teddy Roosevelt and the Stennis, I think, if memory serves me right, were the big deck carriers that were there supporting us. And of course, we had Air Force coming from points west from bases throughout all of the CENTCOM AOR to support that operation. But that night, it was harrowing. I was in charge. I was the senior aviator for the 26th MEU, along with, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I was not senior for all these. It was senior fixed wing aviator in the 26th MEU, and for both of the Peleliu and the Bataan. And we put the
no
plan
weight on your shoulders, brother.
What's that?
No weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, no. And we put the plan together and leaned on all the WTI experts across the board to be able to figure out how to get 450 miles shipped to objective. This was a amphibious operation that had never been seen before. And man, you know, you can say what you want about the V-22. I had a chance to fly the airplane a little bit. And it is a stellar machine. And could we have had that thing in 2001? You could not imagine how well this could have went.
Interesting.
We pulled it off in the fashion that Marines do. You know, Gunny Highway and Heartbreak Ridge said you adapt and overcome, right?
Yep.
But shortly after we took Rhino, we needed to push the rest of our aircraft ashore, CH-46s. We used the Cobras and the Hueys a little bit on the Rhino insert, but we had to have forward arming and refueling points hopscotching along the way through southern Pakistan to be able to get those guys to range it. They don't have an aero refueling capability like the CH-53 Echo. And so that was, you know, that was quite a night putting those guys in there. And then we sustained them for several weeks, got the rest of our rotary wing assets into country, and then we made the decision to keep the Harriers on the ships just because we had the capability to get to the objective fast. We could air refuel off all the tanker assets that were in the region. And, you know, people don't think about this. In fact, the MUCO at the time, he wanted to bring Harriers up after we took Kandahar. And I asked him, you know, how much gas do you have in the TAFTIS bladders? Those are the tactical fuel storage tanks. And you're bringing gas in with C-17, C-130s, you know, however you can get it in, pumping them into these bladders. Really,
big bladders, yeah.
Big rubber bladders of fuel. And, you know, now how much ordnance? You know, 1,000-pound JDAM, 1,000-pound GBU. It doesn't take long to max out the pallet weight of a C-130, hauling that stuff in. And so it was just completely impractical given the extreme expeditionary nature of what Kandahar was in December and early January of 2001 to bring all that fuel and all that ordnance up there to fly Harriers off the ground. And so the MUCO agreed with me that we were best served staying on the ship. We had the intermediate maintenance capability on the ship. And every few days, the ship is going alongside resupply for fuel, for ordnance, for fuse kits, for laser guided seeker heads, all the things you need to be able to sustain that. So
it totally simplified your whole plan.
Yeah. And you know, it was an hour and a half ride up the driveway to get over Kandahar, but it allowed.
And oh, by the way, an hour and a half back after you were there and loitered, right? I mean, it was.
and boy, you guys know this. Like you would never
serious legs in the Harrier that people aren't aware of.
You would never go on a sortie in training and go to a tanker without the ability to bingo off the tanker. Fig, repeat. You've both, flown over the ocean and seen
Yeah.
what it's like, the planning. You always have a divert. You always have a capability. I cannot tell you the number of nights I was a must plug coming out of Kandahar or southern Afghanistan. And you got to hit the tanker or you're diverting to somewhere in Pakistan. And it was not friendly, even though the Pakis definitely on our side and have been for years and years and years. There were a lot of people that weren't on our side or were happy to pop off a surface-to-air missile at you.
Not the strongest of allies, as you might say.
So, you take risks in combat that you don't take in training, and they're calculated, and you got the best pilots in the world were doing it. And we pulled it off safe. Happy to say we went home with all of our airplanes and all of our pilots, which is not always the case on a deployment.
Right.
That's outstanding. And I don't know if you said it, and if you did, I apologize. How many airplanes did you take on that jet?
We had 6.
Okay, sorry. I know when we went on the Wasp, what was that? Was a 10 airplane? We took 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Half the squadron.
That's good. That was a good picture. I don't know which one of our guys stuck that up.
Oh, that's actually one that Brain sent us. It was combat Harriers ready to rock and roll. So it was sitting on the deck of the carrier. But it reminds me, we had Sugar on the show back in the early days, and his helicopter experience helped provide and prove the concept that VSTOL would work. And then, you guys turn around and not only proved it worked, but you proved it with the targeting pods that you got and made the airplane relevant again. And as it was.
Yeah, boy, I was so I had left my test pilot tour working Lightning, right. And we proved the concept and I was working it hard to get Lightning pod out to the ship and into Afghanistan in 2001. And I got shot down. The program
seriously. Holy shit! Well, we don't need them in combat, right? They need to be at.
Well, yeah, there's a little more that goes into it, and
I know. It's easy to sit here and throw darts, man. Come on, help me out.
The Marine Corps and NAVAIR absolutely needed for that to be a success when it went online. So there was some risk assessment that went on there. I felt like as a guy who had tested it in the test community, I felt good enough to be able to teach that to my suite of 9. We had 9 pilots total with myself, but decision was made no, and so we see it, show up about a year and a half later in 2003 in Afghanistan, where it did amazing work. So
yeah.
So the early days where you guys just dropping laser guided
bombs with a lot of either ground designated targets from guys on horseback or however they could get there.
That's crazy.
Or buddy lased off of an F-18, an F-16, multiple different guys that have lased targets for me. So
what comes to mind earlier, you're talking about this is really expeditionary, and I think the best way to describe it to anyone who's not been in or not done any military stuff is to say, go build a house on that mountaintop, and you walk the 2x4s up one at a time, and there's nothing up. There's no water up there. There's no electricity up there. There's nothing up there. Same thing with this combat operation. You are absolutely projecting power out to the point, and there's no friendly path between you and the top of the mountain. So,
it's been 20. It'll be 25 years in September, right? If my math is right. Since 9/11.
That's spot on.
My daughter married a Marine who is, in fact, I found out this weekend, intends to drop his retirement letter with over 20 years.
We're not that old. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So get married at 4 years old. Come on.
he was out in Pendleton. So this is funny, right? We talk about, you go to college, you get your aerospace engineering degree, you love airplanes, you want to fly. Like, why wouldn't you? My son-in-law, one of the smartest guys I know, and aerospace engineering degree. And what's he do in the Marine Corps? He becomes a grunt.
Of course. Well, why wouldn't you?
He was out at out at Pendleton, involved as an XO of what the School of Infantry has become to tie together both East and West Coast training schoolhouses. They did some great work, but that's an aside. My daughter and my son-in-law go to the Marine Corps birthday ball about 2-3 years ago, maybe. And you know how the commandant always has his message, and there's usually some sort of video or message tied into that. And at the time, the message that year was talking about the insert into Camp Rhino and what Brigadier General Dan Mattis did at, taking Kandahar. And so my daughter is sitting there, who in 2011 was, I guess, 12 years old when I deployed a week after 9/11. And now she's sitting there at the ball watching what the commandant is talking about, and still to this day is the longest amphibious operation that the Marine Corps has ever done. It really is epic and amazing that we have the ability to pull that off.
It's historical.
It really is. I mean, we're not pulling the landing craft up to the beach in Afghanistan.
You're not.
For those who don't have a map, there's no
going
beach.
Deep.
No, but we put a lot of LCACs into Posny at the beach and offloaded to the airfield and flew a lot of stuff out of the airfield up there.
Fantastic stuff. Oh man,
I'm still trying to wrap my head around a idle loop in an F-15.
Yeah,
there's
dude,
that.
like, it is such a clean airframe.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good transition. Let's talk some test pilot school, man. What happened there? How'd you wander into that bad deal?
You know, I wanted to be an astronaut, right?
Right.
And, you know, it's a pretty select group of guys, and you take your shot. I got about as close as a guy can without actually getting there, so I feel pretty good. But
all right.
heck, I wanted to go to the moon, and we're not doing that until just a couple of weeks ago again. So I guess it wasn't my time anyway. And beside my wife told me, absolutely no way. You are not. And she probably, I remember my mother
made some calls.
I remember my mother telling me I couldn't land an airplane on an aircraft carrier, and she didn't mean that I wasn't good enough to do it. She meant that she wasn't going to let me do it.
You didn't have
She's
permission.
not allowing you to.
I reminded her she didn't get a vote, but no, my wife, always the voice of reason in anything I try to do. You know, she let me know that I was never going to be an astronaut, and apparently NASA agreed with her. But what she doesn't know is that, and she does know this, that if they would have called me, and she would have stood behind me the whole way, and she would have hated it. But no, as a kid, you know, I was 5 years old when Neil Armstrong took that first step on the moon. That was my birthday at 5. And, you know, been in love with flying and the concepts ever since. One of the stepping stones for those that aren't maybe aware is that it's hard enough to get to NASA, but to get there as a pilot, if you don't have a test pilot background, you probably don't have a very good fighting chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do take people as mission specialists that are not test pilots.
Yeah. Well, you
if
remember
anyone
Dave
can
Brown
figure out
from
what
Beeville,
NASA's
right?
calculation is for who they want to bring into their class, let me know, because they don't even know.
You remember Dave Brown from Beeville, right?
Yeah. So
remember Dave? Yeah. So he mission specialist, you know, solid pilot, good guy, but his medical background obviously got him, you know, mission specialist over flying. So
So
you want to go to test pilot school.
That was sort of a goal. I showed up in 214 in the early days. The first CO was a great dude. I was there for about a year with him. Ron Deloney, commander, VMA 214, great CO. His relief, Henry Joe Coble, came in, and sometimes your CO knows what you need better than you, and you don't know it, and you don't like it.
Hate those guys.
You know, sometimes a senior Marine says you're going to fly Harriers Yuma, and you're not having F-18s Hawaii, right?
Yeah. And then
so Henry Joe Coble knew I wanted to be a test pilot, and you guys remember this, but the wing commander, you know, for the West Coast is out in at the time. I want to say he was up in El Toro. At some point, they moved to Miramar for the wing headquarters. Cherry Point, the wing commander is is there in Cherry Point, but they're always going out and flying with the squadrons and different types of airplanes that maybe they were not originally trained in. They got a pretty good breadth of what they do, but
Yeah.
General Blott, Lieutenant General Blott, was he was probably Major General Blott at the time. He would have been as the wing CG out in El Toro and eventually Miramar. And he keeps coming to 214 to fly. And General Blott was a Harrier guy. But I kept getting tapped to be the flight lead to take the general out, and nobody wants that. You're on edge. This is the guy that can fire you at moment's notice. And also, you're responsible for the general who hasn't flown for 90 days to make sure he doesn't kill himself. And it's just a nerve-wracking thing. But you suck it up. You do it. The skipper says you're flying with the general tomorrow. You put the plan together and you go fly, and you pull off a good, safe sortie and grip and grin with the general and tell him thanks, and you get to know him. And every other month I found myself flying with the general and no one else. Like you said, where's Punky? Where's Breeze? Where's Cutter?
Where are these guys?
Where are those bastards?
Why is nobody else? Why doesn't Mooner have to fly with him? Every time after like the 5th time, I'm like, boss, seriously, like, why do I have to keep being the guy? And he says, hey, Brain, you want to be a test pilot, right? I said, well, yes, sir. He says, well, do you know Major General Blott is going up to be the deputy commandant for aviation? And I'm like, I'm a lieutenant, maybe a captain. Sir, no, I don't know that. And he says, and you know that as the deputy commandant, well, I think the other thing he says, General Blott was a test pilot, right? Well, of course I don't know that. I didn't check his test pilot card on the last sortie we went on. Right? And he says, he explains to me that, the deputy commandant for aviation has 2 colonels that report to him, and they're the commanding officer of the Marine Detachment in Patuxent River, Maryland, and the commanding officer of the Marine Detachment at the time in China Lake, California. And he says, and that the test pilot selection board includes those 2 colonels that report to that 3-star, correct? And he says, yes. And he says, and don't you think you'd like to have Lieutenant General Blott write you a letter of recommendation for test pilot school? And I'm not like, people, well, where'd you get your call sign? Like, it's the large frontal lobe. I do math. You can decide for yourself where my call sign comes from. But I finally clue in, because I'm still a Marine, a knuckle dragging Marine who doesn't think too fast. And I realize, wow, this guy, he's sort of got it all figured out.
Yeah. He's thinking strategically. You're thinking tactically.
If you're sitting on the selection board, let's just say Repeat and Fig are the selection board, and you're reading all the letters of recommendation from all the people all across the Marine Corps, and one from your boss crosses your desk that says, I highly recommend Captain Worth be selected for United States Navy Test Pilot School. Yeah. And your boss is going to write your evaluation for your, how well you're doing your job. And you're a
boss don't know shit.
Hey, what do you think you're going to do? So the age-old adage, it's not what you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, I've been guided by some great mentors in my Marine Corps career, every one of them, and they look out for you. They make you do stuff that you don't think you should be doing, and they 100% know what you should be doing. Right. The only goal any of us can have is to be that guy someday and reach out and touch an Otis in a way that turns him into a great American.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick divert off of test pilot school and go to something else that seems less than ideal. VMU2. What does VMU stand for?
Yeah. Wow.
And how did you find yourself over there?
Yeah. So let's talk about what the V's and the M's and all the letters mean in Navy Marine Corps squadrons.
Yes.
Have you guys done that ever?
A little bit, and we do have a glossary. It's therewas.us/glossary, but
so you see,
I don't think VMU is up there.
Yeah, you see VMA, VMFA, VFA for a Navy squadron. The V stands for fixed wing. Our helicopter squadrons start with an H. In a Marine squadron, you're going to follow up the V or the H with an M for Marine. So A Navy Super Hornet Rhino squadron would be designated, say, VFA
Fighter attack
147. They're now an F-35 squadron. It's a bad pick, but VFA standing for fixed wing fighter and attack, FNA, for the Navy. We throw the M in there to designate Marine, VMFA. Or in the case of a Harrier, we didn't carry the F, we were a VMA. So a VMU is a fixed wing Marine, and the U is for unmanned, drone / RPV, whatever you want to call it. That's a picture of a Scan Eagle you're showing right now. We'll talk about that real quick. Pioneer was the aircraft in the VMU, and I got to tell you guys, like, I'm a Harrier test pilot. Like, I'm supposed to be a Harrier squadron commander, right?
Yeah.
Remember when I said
unmanned shit?
You remember when I said your bosses know where to put you?
Yeah.
Back to that. Did we talk? I think repeat. It was maybe before we got online. We were talking about that phone call where I had made some plans to do something other than the Marine Corps, and then I got a call from headquarters that said, "Congratulations, you got a squadron." And it was VMU too. And I first thing I said was, "What is a VMU?" And then I realized that when I was the
how do you spell it?
When I was the XO at VMA 223, I remember sending some pilots that were struggling a little bit in the Harrier over to VMU 2. Then I had, I got flush and probably sweated out of my armpits and realized, like, oh no, what have I done to myself?
Oh no.
I'm going to tell you right now, it had nothing to do with being a CO. That is the best tour in the United States Marine Corps that I've ever had.
Really?
Okay.
Well, that's saying something.
In 2 seconds, give me the elevator pitch. Why was that your best?
Yeah, because it's not about flying airplanes. Well, maybe it is about being a CO, but it's about leading Marines. You don't have to be a CO to lead Marines. We leaders at all levels in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
From corporals up to colonels and generals. And I had an opportunity to go to Iraq two summer vacations in a row. And lead that squadron, and it was not about flying airplanes. I didn't need to do anything else in the Harrier. I'd done everything I needed to do. I guess I made my fingerprint on that program, and it was good to go. VMU, on the other hand, had been kicked around the Marine Corps for a few decades. The squadrons started out as what we called RPV companies in the artillery units for spotting artillery from the sky. And they crashed a lot of airplanes. They didn't have aviators involved. Some decisions got made to put it into the air wing. It found its way into the Marine Air Groups for a while. It found its way over to the Marine Control group side. And I believe, eventually has found its way back into the MAG side. That squadron has transitioned to Reapers at this point, and quite capable, armed, remotely piloted aircraft. But we were in the formidable stages back in 2003, 4, 5, and 6. Babar started it with the first deployment, and Spike had VMU2 right before me. And then I rolled in there, and things got kicking. Spike had started a deal with Scan Eagle, which was In Situ was the company that made it. The plane was designed as a fish spotting airplane off of boats in the ocean, spotting fish. And somehow Boeing got their mitts on it and brought In Situ in on a contract for the Marine Corps to bring Scan Eagle over to Iraq. And we flooded the skies with ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance missions in the VMUs. The Marine Corps couldn't believe what the capability was. And there were a lot of growing pains, but it came to the point where we sat around about the time I gave up command of the squadron and talking with headquarters Marine Corps guys about how do we turn this into a full-time billet where guys are career driven in the unmanned side. The Air Force has been doing it now for a while, and it was necessary for the Marine Corps to do it. Manpower is always an issue. You wonder what you're going to do. Where am I going to get the guys to do that? I don't want to say fortunately or unfortunately, but the reality is that the WISO program in the Marine Corps was going away. F-18s were the Delta version, our two-seat version was being sundowned, and there were officer billets available that Headquarters Marine Corps was able to structure it and really grow the program to where it needed to be. So my opportunity to go there and fly unmanned aircraft was not about flying unmanned aircraft. It was about leading Marines, doing something the Marine Corps needed done, figuring out how to use it. When Babar took VMU-2 to Iraq in 2003, they flew one aircraft at a time. They put one Pioneer in the sky. It could fly for, let's just say, 3 hours and had a range of about 100 miles. They were on the move. We were mobile, the ability to move the control stations and be as close as we needed to be, but difficult at best. When I left there, we were flying continuous Pioneer coverage in the AO, doing handoffs with outlying stations out over 100 miles away to hand the aircraft off forward and be able to extend the range. Scan Eagle operating out of, I want to say, 3 different locations, if my memory serves, Al-Qaim, Fallujah, and out in Korean Village, way west in the Al Anbar province, along with Pioneer and Scan Eagle ops going on at our head base at Al Taqaddum Airfield. Just amazing, the growth of ability to provide ISR to the ground commanders for their decision making.
No shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Best thing I've ever done in the Marine Corps.
Okay. So I never would have expected that.
Right. No kidding.
I didn't expect that when I went there. I did not.
Right.
I'm not going to say I went kicking and screaming. That's not a.
But I wanted Hornets Hawaii, man.
Yeah, I wanted Hornets Hawaii. How do I end up here? What is going on in my life? I would not change anything that has happened to me through my whole life. It is all.
That's fantastic to be able to look back on a 3-decade career and be able to say that.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. There's no there's no coincidences, Brain. I'm learning my 61 years on this earth. I've figured this out finally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that detour. I want to go back briefly to test pilot school, and then after that, probably start looking at landing the plane. But so you get a test pilot school. What was your most difficult decision? Which 2 hours you're going to sleep each night, or?
No, it was. Did I want to bring my wife to the mandatory Friday night happy hour that happens every Friday?
There you go.
Again, she was like, "Hell yeah!" The kids are growing up more at this point; like they can burn the house down on their own. So she's like, "I'm getting out."
They don't need my help striking the match.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting year. Learned a lot. There's a whole lot of, at least back in 1995 and 1996, a whole lot of teaching of very old test techniques. I think that's important for the bedrock. I don't want to speak for what Navy Test Pilot School does today. Things have changed so much in the ability to design an airplane, test an airplane. Chuck Yeager went out and he flew an airplane, and he had to come back and be able to tell the engineers, like, the nose.
This is what's broken.
This is what's going on in the short period, the long period, the Dutch roll characteristics, this, that, the other, all these buzzwords. He had to measure forces in the stick and do all these things and be able to convey that back to guys that were going to change stuff. That's not how we do it today.
With a slide rule.
Today, we go out and we say, these are the flying characteristics I want a machine to have, because we know what flies well, what works well for gun pipper tracking, what's going to be a good weapons delivery platform for an F&A type of guy, or what's going to work good when you're building a C-17, and what do I need? What do I want? So now, with everything being fly-by-wire and being able to kind of drive the flight controls to do in whatever phase of flight you needed to do it, the design of the airplane is no longer the factor that you look at in a test program or in an aircraft design program. So a lot of that has changed. I'd be interested to see if, the way they're teaching our test pilots has changed or not. But every day was, you woke up, half your day was spent in the classroom learning theory, master's level degree in aeronautics, if you will. And then the other half the day was spent flying. And you may go fly the T-38 or the T-2, do some spin training. We all did inverted spins in flight school. If you remember, guys, in the T2, we did two spin sorties. They were upright spins.
Yep.
A lot of fun. I enjoyed it. In the A4s, we went out and we did one more spin sortie. They would send us over to the T2 and we'd do one more spin sortie and we'd do the inverted spin.
That was
because
not
if you got into an inverted spin in the A4, they wanted you to know what that looked like and you have a chance of recovery.
Yeah,
I have
sure
about
you did.
35 hours of doing inverted spins now from my time at test pilot school.
Did you say 35 hours?
Yes.
Oh, that's
in fact, there were days where you're doing proficiency flying. So you're learning test techniques and then go out with an instructor and he teaches you something, but maybe you're going to write a report on the stall spin characteristics and the 5 phases that are involved in a stall progressing into a fully developed spin, right? So you need to be able to see what those look like. And so you'd go out and an instructor would kind of teach you some stuff and what to look for. And you'd study the aircraft theory on whether this was a fuselage loaded or wing loaded design and what you expected for spin characteristics to be flat, nose down, nose up, what have you. And then you'd go out and you'd practice those on proficiency sorties. And so, man, the funnest thing you can do is take a T2 and just go out and spin the thing from 36,000 feet all the way down to the ground.
Oh,
well, not all the way.
Down to, I think 7,000, if NATAP's memory serves me right.
Oh,
Was
for
recovery
fuck's
LT.
sake.
Wasn't 10,000. It was below that. I don't.
It seemed like every revolution you got more of a negative G, spike. At one point, the mask was over
that
my
forward
eyes.
shot in the face.
Yeah. What's really fun is we have flight test engineers at flight school who are not pilots. They're guys that you talk to that are sitting on the ground in the control room when you're doing your test work. But every once in a while, a few of those select individuals get selected to go to test pilot school as students and go through the same program as the aviators. They're the ones that are flying in your back seat when you're going out doing this proficiency flying. So a lot of fun to go show those guys inverted spins, try to get people sick, right?
Oh my
fantastic stuff.
But that was every day. A half a day of classroom, a half a day of flying. I think I walked out of there flying about 30 different types of rotary wing and fixed wing aircraft. If you've never done a loop in a glider, that's kind of fun.
Right? I have done a loop.
Actually, I have too. It's one of the. I've gotten one ride in a glider and got a loop.
And boy, does it get quiet, huh?
Right.
I got a private glider rig. I got it in college. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, try to only use that in gliders, Fig.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No shit. That's my daughter. My daughter soloed in gliders at 14, and now.
Pete, I saw a picture of you and your daughter flying on Facebook. I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. That was so awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, she's now down. She's now going down. I'm not allowed to say the unit, but she's been hired to fly Air National Guard C-130Js, and I am jealous.
That's awesome.
I never thought I'd be jealous about the C-130, but that's a cool airplane, man. I got to go look at the flight deck of that thing. Holy shit. So very cool stuff.
Yeah, it's not your daddy's C-130.
No, it ain't. Nothing, not even close. So, all right. So you got into the F-35, and is 2 years ago, we were at the Cherry Point Air Show, and, they parked the Harrier down next to the 22 and the 35. And I got to say, it's a bittersweet, but it's clear looking at those airplanes sitting next to each other that it's time for our beloved Avi-8B to go sit as a statue in front of a general's building somewhere. And they're fun airplanes to fly. They're beautiful, but compared to the 22 and the 35, amazing. And I think Fig put it best. Watching an air show demo of an F-22 or an F-35 looks like a Class A mishap in progress. I don't even know how to ask this. What was your impression of that airplane, either the first time or, now? I mean, clearly it's a lot of systems management going on it as opposed to stick and rudder. But I imagine there's still some stick and rudder going on there.
So to quickly dispel any rumors, I never had the opportunity to actually fly the airplane. Okay. I have a considerable amount of time in the simulator. During that, I
imagine that given today's simulators.
So I'll be honest with you. At the point in time in the program where I was, and I'll talk a little bit about my job and what I got to do.
Yeah,
the people I got to work with. Sure, I would have enjoyed to fly the airplane, but what our test pilots are doing at the time, we didn't even have. We were flying basic Block 1 software. The aircraft was restricted at the time to VFR flight only. Had to stay 25 miles clear of any lightning. It was rudimentary. They were out going doing what test pilots do and making sure that it met the flying qualities, performance, stall spin stuff. The Harrier qualification was ongoing when I was the director of requirements, and spent a lot of time talking with the test pilots who were working both F-35C and B, doing carrier quals. There were hook issues on the C. We had all kinds of helmet issues with washout, seeing the Fresnel lens behind the boat, particularly evening was a huge challenge for those guys. So I got a chance to work on that, got a chance to work a test plan on some visual stuff with the helmet, the simulator. But the airplane itself, at the time, you showed that picture of Senator McCain. I'm going to take an off ramp for a minute. I'm going to come back to this. So
there it is.
At the time that picture was taken, I was the base commander in Yuma. John McCain came out twice. Once was, I want to say, February of what would have been 2009, right after he had lost the election bid against President Obama. And he was at a point where he'd been on the campaign trail for quite some time. It was time for him to reconnect with his Arizona constituents, and he put Yuma, if not the first, one of the very first places he was going to go back to see Marines, sailors, airmen, and soldiers. And he wanted to come out and he wanted to talk F-35. I was thrust into the heart of getting Yuma ready for the first F-35 squadron that would show up on a Marine base or the first tactical squadron. We had at the time our training wing and a few squadrons in Air Force and Navy and a Marine squadron in Eglin for what we call the RAG, the Replacement Air Group, or the RTU for the Air Force guys. But first tactical squadron was going to Yuma. And we were taking a base that was coming out of 1967 from a technology standpoint with comms and infrastructure, and turning it into a place that was going to support a flying server farm with multiple squadrons. In fact, it was so dramatic that Arizona Power, who had the substation feeding Yuma, had to build a whole second substation and bring power into the base to be able to support the electric draw that Yuma would become. And so that is where my real start with the program happens. Shortly after I leave Yuma, I find myself in the program office as the director of requirements. I wore a couple of hats there. As the director of requirements, it was my job to basically report out on how we were doing on all the key performance parameters, which is something that the highest level of generals track up at the Pentagon. And quite frankly, the operational requirements document, at the time we used an ORD. It's an old term for old acquisition, not used anymore, but the requirements document, which laid out and said what the plane had to be capable of doing. There's a specification written to that ORD, which gets down into the nitty gritty that says it should be able to go so far, so high, fly so far, carry so much ordnance, pull so many Gs. And so my group of guys was responsible for tracking that and working as best we could with Pratt & Whitney building the motor and Lockheed building the airframe. And then Northrop working many of the systems and all the sub vendors to make sure things were delivering to where they needed to be. But also in my group was
And when did you learn to juggle? Just asking for a friend.
yeah, exactly.
Holy shit.
I learned to polish my briefing technique in front of 2 stars, 3 stars, and 4 stars. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no shortage of issues. Why did I take us to John McCain? Because back in 2009 and again in 2010, he came to the base to see how we were doing getting ready for that airframe. At the time, he was very pro F-35. And then I'm telling this story because it's important on what happens to the program. Over budget, a Nunn-McCurdy breach, which I'll let you guys go look up that are listening to the podcast, but 2 senators created a law. It's called Nunn-McCurdy. Go look it up. The fact of the matter is the program's going to get canceled probably. Yeah. And some heroic efforts had to happen to keep it alive. As much as that airplane cost, and the fact that Senator McCain became very critical of it in, I'll call it the 2011, 2012 timeframe, he had his reasons. But if anything, I just want you to look at the combat operations that have occurred with that platform over the course of the last couple of years, and there is nothing in the world that could replace what that airplane is capable of doing.
That's an impressive statement, Brain.
Yeah.
What's that?
That statement is saying something.
It really is.
That's not an off the cuff statement.
No, it's not. And for us to do what we've done across a couple of battlefields in the recent past would not have been possible. So thanks to our taxpayers, thanks to our senators who kept the program alive, and thanks to the Air Force and naval aviation, our men and women for the next 20 years are set up. The airframe itself is amazing. It is my first time in the simulator, which is designed to perfectly replicate the airplane. I got into it and realized that not that I've flown an F-22. I have not. I've had a chance to dogfight F-22s. Amazing piece of machinery. It is no F-22 in terms of its aerodynamic capability. Yeah. It was never built to be an air superiority fighter. In my group that I led at the program office, we are the guys that did the operational analysis, went out to the services, the countries, to determine what mattered. And that airplane was built to do what people needed it to do. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. Go look at recent events. It has proven its salt. There were a lot of people who wanted to cancel the program due to cost, an even larger number of people who wanted to poo-poo the airplane, to talk about how bad it was going to get waxed in a dogfight. Man, if you find yourself in a dogfight, it's never going to be not true in any airplane you ever fly. It is not the machine, it's the man in the box. But if you put me in an F-16 and you put me in a Harrier, I'm going to kick myself in the ass in the Harrier every time.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same guy in a far superior airplane, right? So that's just a fact. And that is a place that you can't ever allow yourself to get.
Well, see, it's funny you should say that, because I asked the gent who gave us the tour of 542 a couple of years back, and I said, look, you flew Harriers, you flew Hornets with the Blue Angels, and now you're flying the 35. My understanding is that this airplane it's not a very good fighter. You said I wouldn't go to battle in any other airplane. I'm like, well, why?
No,
and
absolutely not.
Yeah. So he said, if I get into a turning fight in this airplane, I deserve to get shot.
And I'll tell you, like, I don't want to get deep into what it can do. I can't get deep into what it can
understand.
Do. And I've also been out of the program for several years now. But it is all about net-centric warfare in anything and everything you do. Digital information on the battlefield for anybody's weapon system. And then some certain weapons capabilities or systems capabilities that define what make you better than anybody else are what matters anymore. It is not, did I build the biggest, baddest dogfighting airplane? That is not what wins air battles.
Yeah. So you're buying more than an airframe. You're buying a software subscription.
Yeah, kind of, right? It's a flying server bank that needs
We got a guy in the background right now that's nodding his head aggressively because he's working on this airplane.
Yeah. No, started off in Harrier avionics, and now he works the F-35. So
it's an incredible platform, and the couple of big hats I wore were the requirements side of it, and then what I had working for me as a colonel in the Marine Corps, as a director of requirements, I had the smartest, tactically proficient guys that you could find from the U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, the Dutch, the Danes, the Brits. I'm going to leave a couple of countries out here. The Italians, the Aussies, the Canadians. Every one of them sent an 04 or an 05 weapons school grad to work for me because we were on the hook to build what we call TAC SOP, tactical SOP, or really the first tactical manual for how to fly that airplane. In this program, we were developing an airplane while we were delivering it to the fleet. And the fleet was getting airplanes before they had full software loads. In some cases, in the early days, before they could even carry ordnance.
Shit. Wow.
So in the simulator, in the high resolution simulator, and high resolution doesn't just mean visuals for flying, but it means the aero model, the weapons model, the threat model, everything about it. Very, very, very high resolution. Some of the best training in the world in terms of figuring out how to fly that plane. And I had the opportunity to lead a group of guys who would about once every 3 months put together a very large LFE, large force exercise, if you will, with about 30, 40 guys that came from the 422 Squadron in Nellis, the smartest guys in the Air Force, our Top Gun Nautic guys out of Fallon, MOTS 1 guys from Yuma, and all my patch-wearing weapons school grads. And, oh, by the way, I was the Marine patch-wearing smart guy, so I was bringing the grade point average way down in that room.
I don't believe that for a second.
But so you had a box of 64 crayons.
Well, there were about 62 when I got off the airplane. So
128, brother. 128.
We would put together a week of missions. We would sit down as a group back in DC, and we would come up with a game plan. Are we going to work an air-to-air sort? Are we going to work an air-to-ground problem? We would come up with the problem set. We'd float it out to these experts that come from around the fleet and my guys, and everybody would come in and get in cockpits and either fly red air or blue air, and we would proof of concept what we were doing. In a couple of hours, we'd take a break, debrief it like the professional debriefs anyone would expect out of Nellis or Top Gun and or MOTS, and then go in and make some changes and take it home and mull it around. And I got to sit in a ready room as an 06 after 26-ish years of flying airplanes and just sit around like a good old boy talking tactics and developing plans. And man, was that gratifying.
That's pretty awesome.
That's shit hot, especially to think of a colonel sitting there with captains and majors.
Yeah, and I think most of the time my guys looked at me and said, well, maybe the old man needs to go see the general for something, you know, that call it come in. Sir, you're needed at the general's office.
Yeah. You don't want to really sit here and intimidate us, do you? Come on, man.
Great guys. Smart dudes.
Well, what a great experience.
That is indeed.
Yeah.
Well, shit hot. We are just shy of 2 hours. I hate to do it, but I think we need to land the plane. I know it feels like maybe coming up on 45 minutes, you know, but
well, Brain, what have we hadn't talked about? You got to finish the. You got to close the loop.
We're going to close the loop with Otis, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Rabel. Otis left the DC region to. There you go. He's a little better looking than that Otis, but. Certainly where his calls.
He had Otis from Andy Griffith up on the screen.
Like I said, I got to start with Otis as a brand newbie coming out of the RAG at 203, and I got to lead him through combat and help form that young man. Like I said, MOTS 1 weapons and tactics instructor called back to the schoolhouse to teach the finest as a MOTS instructor, goes to F-35 in the Pentagon to work that program, and he was in my chili every day in the program office, screaming at me about what the Marine Corps wants and needs, and full motion video. Right, we opened this with what we did in Fallujah with Rover, and that has become industry standard to have streaming video off the platform to the ground, bar none, no exceptions. Very important for the Marine Corps and not part of the initial load that came out with F-35 Block 3 Foxtrot. So I took a lot of spears as a Marine from my Marines over a lot of stuff, but we had a lot of problems to solve to not get the program canceled, and that's what we had to do. Otis goes off to take command of the Wake Island Avengers, VMA 211, and there are stories, countless stories out there passed around, I've heard in the Navy and the Air Force, of Otis's letter to his squadron as he took command. And I don't have it on me. I should have given it to you. Maybe we can go find it after the fact. But just for him,
we'll certainly put it on the website.
The leadership that he displayed in that squadron. They end up in Camp Bastion in Afghanistan, and Bastion gets attacked. Some insurgents break through the wire. Down at the ramp where the Marine Rotary Wing attack helicopters, the Cobras and the Hueys, the utility helicopters, were bed down next to the Harriers. We had 8 Harriers in Bastion at the time. And the insurgents were successful charging the ramp, throwing satchel charges down the intakes, and destroyed 6 of our 8 Harriers. Meanwhile, Marines, who are every day a rifleman, have stacked their rifle in the squadron spaces where they do every day when they come to work on helicopters and Harriers, and they're thrust into combat. They are fighting on the flight line, repelling the enemy. They killed, if memory serves right, they killed all but one. One guy they were able to interrogate and find some information out. It's a very bad day for the Marine Corps. Unfortunate. Part of I don't want to get into the combined nature of multi-countries in battle, but things happen. And Otis was unfortunately killed along with one Marine E5 in that event. He is probably one of the best Marines I've ever served with. And
that's awesome.
My wife says I'm not allowed to cry about stuff, but at my retirement ceremony, something happened. I'll back up just a tiny bit. Otis was buried in Arlington, and his beautiful wife, Danella, came there. She struggles and struggled dearly with all of this. God bless her. She hands me a flag at Otis's funeral, the get together after the funeral that we have. And she says, Brain, this has your name on it. It was in Otis's stuff in Afghanistan. It says for Brain. And there was one other flag with another gentleman's name on it, was a college buddy of Otis's. He had flown 2 flags in the Harrier over Afghanistan. One of them for me.
Wow.
Shit hot.
Wow.
Never going to know why. Maybe I had planned to fly 30 of them. I don't really know. But it's amazing that somebody would think of that and do that.
Yeah.
And today that flag lives in my, I love me wall and my shadow box with my career of aviation and everything that happened. So,
here's to Otis.
Let's kind of dedicate this session to Otis.
Here's to Otis.
To Otis.
Thanks,
Great
Otis.
American.
God
Great
bless.
American.
And
Semper
Otis's
Fi,
bride.
I wish I had a beer here, but I'm going to drink water, boys.
Semper Fidelis, Otis.
Did you find it? Is that the letter? I see a link.
Otis's
Link
letter.
to Otis's letter.
We'll put it on the website, but it's breachbangclear.com. And it's
Rabel's Commander Guidance for Attack Pilots. Yeah, it's it.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So, wow. Sticks.
Yeah,
are amazing.
I don't know. So there I was, right?
Yeah, right.
When do we do that again?
Right.
So is there can you close the can you tie the bow on the opening story?
Is it the So There I Was story?
Yes, sir.
So there I was, right? 35,000 feet over probably Tarrant Cout, Afghanistan.
Tarrant Cout.
Now, this isn't going to be I blew something up. This is even better, and you guys are probably going to just laugh your asses off.
No, that's okay.
Had a chance to fly with.
We need an upper after that, brother.
Had a chance to fly with an AWACS guy a couple of sorties ago here in my current job. No, we're hanging out. I don't know. Could have been Otis on my wing. I don't really remember. It's sort of irrelevant. But mid-30s, somewhere over Afghanistan, sitting in a kill box, which is just a grid of airspace designed to separate the aircraft, put you in a safe holding area until you get your next mission assignment to go carry out an attack mission or do whatever you're going to do. And
yeah.
again, using false call signs, the AWACS control, at the time, was being split between the U.S. Air Force and the Royal Air Force. And the U.S. Air Force guys come up on the radio and call me. And here I am. I'm flying in a Harrier radar bird. So I have an APG 65 radar that's, for tactical sized targets, good to maybe 50, 60 miles at best, really, really good at, 40-ish miles. Yeah. It's not phased array, it's none of this fancy new stuff that everybody has. Track multiple targets at once. Doesn't do any of that stuff. We didn't even have Link 16 on the airplane at the time. All these things have grown into the Harrier over the ages. But I am in the holding pattern, and Deadeye comes up and says, Ranger 1-1, Deadeye, and we have to depart the area. We'd like to turn the airspace over to you to handle the rest of all the aircraft that will be checking in the target assignments. And I'm shitting you not.
You do know I'm single seat without radar.
I'm sitting in a single seat fighter wearing night vision goggles at 35,000 feet, watching flashes going off below me, and this AWACS airplane that carries, God knows, 20 freaking.
There's like 65 people
20
on
guys
there
with pens
radar
and pads.
dish bigger than a Harrier. To see the world, and SATCOM to talk to the KOC.
No.
This guy turns the AO over to me.
No.
I've got F-15 Strike Eagles checking in, Tomcats off the carrier.
Weapons free, boys. Drop them where you want.
In, and I'm sitting here with a grease pencil and a freaking map on my kneeboard, pushing flights of aircraft to different kill boxes, telling them. At one point, I have
holy fook.
I shit you not. This is a 100% true story. I have a Strike Eagle guy come up and ask me for a vector to the tank.
A vector. All right.
I'm like, dude, he doesn't know that I'm not Deadeye, by the way.
Yeah.
And if that
360 go max burner, you'll catch him in an hour.
I want him to realize that his radar was at least twice as good as mine when he asked for it, right? But I'm doing my best dead reckoning. I'm like, I'm here. He's somewhere over there where I told him to go. The tanker is on, Exxon track down here. Track's, 30 miles long. So, I mean, maybe he's somewhere in this vicinity right now.
Fly southeast. You'll find him.
Pretty much. Like, yeah. Your tanker bears, whatever.
Somewhere between 120
for about 100 miles, and he should be somewhere between 28 and 32,000.
Dude, I hope you're listening tonight.
And yeah, man, no one's gonna know. They're not gonna know it was them, right? But a Harrier guy was running the entire airspace over southern Afghanistan for about 45
unbelievable. Well,
yep,
well done,
there it
sir.
is. So
you did the Marine Corps proud.
I mean, you can't make shit up like that.
No, that's
right.
That's better than
they had the AWACS guys had to bingo out. They had some kind of aircraft issue going on, and in their mind, it was safer to go off station. I did not have the ability.
And the airspace to a single seat attack.
They turned it over to a single seat guy, and my wingman's eyes were probably bigger than freaking saucers at the time. And he's like, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Did you have him? Hey man, start writing shit down. Start writing shit down for me.
I just, hey, you adapt and overcome.
Well done, sir.
Handled that for about 45 minutes till the RAF guys checked in. I gave them a quick handoff, and
unbelievable.
Away we went.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Okay. You know
that
says didn't see that one coming, did you?
No.
Yeah, no.
I did
and
not.
That speaks volumes for
that. That needs to go in our bag of tricks.
Oh my God.
That needs to go in our bag of tricks for the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know, but I'm gonna say this. Like, he didn't call an Air Force guy because he was pretty sure the dude would have said, "I can't do that."
I'm going to say that's exactly why. That's
know?
exactly why. Yes.
Anyway, good stuff.
Okay, that's going in the
That's going to the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation.
That's going in the bucket for next year, buddy.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh, well done, sir.
Wow. Let me say that backwards. Wow. Oh,
And I didn't think that was going to go there.
No.
From the beginning,
Right.
I thought we were putting lead. I thought we were putting hot steel down range. That's even better.
I mean, that's the shit that we've fallen bass backwards into. When we started this show, we had no idea would cross our transom, and there it is. So,
well, thank you, Brain. That
indeed, thank you.
Thank
you for the time you spent
That's the way
with us.
you end good stories. Yes.
I want to say this. I heard this week for the first time, and I am stealing it. Brain, thank you for your service, and thank you for my freedom.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks to you as well.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
And we mentioned her tonight already, but thank you to Patty, and thank you to all the Patties out there who deal with the screaming babies and the diapers and the missed anniversaries and birthdays and the heartbreak of holding down the home fort when the world's going up in flames and not knowing if they're going to see their husband or wife or daughter or brother, sister, mother, or father ever again. And it's a big damn deal. And they are just as much serving as those who are putting their lives on the line. And we appreciate it. So, yeah. What else, Fig?
Well, we got to say thanks to Dave Hamilton with backbeatmedia.com. Dave gave us the know-how, the bandwidth, the guidance, the mentoring to get this thing off the ground and going. And it's been going for 3 years now.
If you had another guess. Count them
4 years?
Yeah,
nah, that's not right.
I know, right?
Is it 4?
Holy fook. Yeah.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
I guess
Dude, 2022. Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Right on. Thanks to him. We also need to thank all the people who have lost all sense of financial responsibility and cracked open their wallets and thrown money at us. So there was that US/Patreon. We got Heartless, who switched over from Donor Box to Patreon. He's a pilot over at patreon.com. And then I'm going to skip forward a little bit and thank, let me mention that we've got Venmo. If you want to give us a gift to help keep this show coming from us to you, Venmo takes a lower cut. So you can go to So There I Was at So There I Was in Venmo. Just go to sotherewas.us/donate and the links are there. How about that? But while I'm on the financial irresponsibility, badass. Brad Silcott at bdsaviationphotography.com cracked his wallet and put $50 in our wallets this week. And God bless you, badass. You're an amazing American.
I'm questioning your financial judgment right now, badass. But I'm humbled by your donation. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
So,
yeah. Hey, yeah. And thanks for the reminder. Hey, give us a 5-star rating if you can. Because if you can't, you got to give it to somebody else. We're trainable. Let us know what we need to do to make it 5 stars.
I want to give a 3-star rating to somebody. What should I do?
Give it to somebody else.
There you go. It's the only way to fly. Hey, our sponsor this week, Derek Combs over at dcartworks.net. Come meet Derek. Come meet us at the Cherry Point Harrier Sundown first week of June, 1, 2, and 3.
Brain's going to be there.
Yep.
Okay. Brain's going to be there.
Anybody's going to be there.
Badass is going to be there. Sticks and Bago are going to be there.
Sticks and Bago are going to be there. Hell, if anybody is anybody, they're going to be there.
It's going to be like a party. In fact, if you don't show up there, you're nobody.
That's not true. However,
well, okay.
I am going to pack my So There I Was bikini.
Just please
in
don't.
Case. Yeah, I'm gonna because my wife might wear it down at the beach. When we're there.
All right. Well, everybody else, go to sotherewas.us/merch and get your bikini and make Fig not be the only one there sporting that thing.
Yeah. So there I was.us/merch. We've got just about anything you could possibly ask for with our logo on it. So help us
Cool
advertise.
logo designed by none other than Styx. So, and thinking of Styx, there's Styx and Bago who produced the show for us. Who
Thank you.
Actually put shit up on the screen before we even think of it. I swear to God.
Yeah, it's so damnedest
amazing.
thing. Yeah, they're the brains of the operation.
You're gonna have to start paying them, Fig. I think. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna give them a bonus.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna give it to them in person.
There's that
In a couple of weeks.
So yeah, all right. And then there's
hey, that's the sound right there of the two Air Force pilots that make the F-16 sound good. No, that's not what I meant. It's the two F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good.
There you go. F-16 sound okay.
The Dos Gringos.
Count them two, not one.
They've been on our. They've been guests twice. They've got 4 albums. There's not a bad song on any of them.
If you're having a bad day, go listen to some Dos Gringos. You will not be sorry. So, I think that's about it, brothers and sisters. Until next week, stay safe.
You know, it's funny, right? Your wives get call signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turnip's wife was Miss Taiwan Boogie.
What do you think my wife's call sign is?
Brain.
Pinky in the brain, right?
There you go. Fantastic.
Oh boy.
Good stuff. Pinky in the brain. All right. Till next week, everybody.
Man, I love flights.
There you go. MILF. Man, I love flights. All right, everybody. I'll try again. Till next week, stay safe and check 6.
Thanks for the time, guys.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Hey, hold on. You know, I asked this last week, and I thought you said something, but did he say what?
He said it was over.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Weird.
Out. All right.
Fantastic, Bago. Well done, sir.
All right.
All right. Everybody, I'm going to end the stream because we are over 2 hours in, and I got a show to produce in a few hours. So take care. Thank you for being with us. Good night.
Peace.
Rain stick.